Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Monday the 30th of March. Okay, so no news data to come out today that I'm aware of. Shall I say no economic news data that is due to come out. Of course, there could be plenty of updates on the coronavirus, etc. So we'll see how that goes. But for now, say fundamentally, there's no data due out. Looking then at the euro dollar and well, a bit like Friday really. Friday started off looking all a bit bearish, and Monday's now starting looking off a little bit bearish. Just looking, weekly pivot is below us at the moment. We've got, so just put the MACD on there. No, there's no divergence across these highs. We may be on the RSI. Yep, as expected. There's a bit of divergence running across the RSI, but I'm just a little bit wary of this. The strength, the last low here, if you look, there's a bit of hidden divergence as it's referred to. We've got a low RSI number figure here compared to the previous, although it has pushed through the top there, so we'll see. But it does look like a bit of hidden divergence, so we could see this reversing around. We'll see how it pans out this morning. Just be wary now as we sit here on the 60-minute time frame. Well, there you go. You see the weekly pivot below. We're roundabouts in the daily pivot at the moment, just beyond it a little bit there. We have got support in the face of these key moving averages, but as we saw on Friday, the 50s held up then. 50s held up quite a few times recently. It may just pull back to that 50 MA, and well, if it breaks, well then it becomes a bit more on for that weekly pivot. Okay, to the upside, if we were looking to trade this, I'd simply be doing the usual, looking at the highs here, drawing across the top here. If it breaks that level, then it starts becoming a bit more bullish, or if it gets oversold down here, of course. But it's really looking more, as I'm looking at it at the moment, looks like it could roll over further. Okay, the pound. So the pound again, we're seeing this sort of bit of a retrace after a strong push up on Friday, and again there's the weekly pivot sitting below. We've also got the daily pivot. It's not showing actually on here. This is incorrect. It should be 123.24. The daily pivot's at the wrong place on here at this stage. But again, so we've got the 123.22. So the daily pivot's sitting just above where the S1's sitting here at the moment. That in itself could see draw the pound down towards that 22. Just get the right number here actually, sorry, let's just pick it off my other system here. 123.42. That doesn't look right somehow, because that's higher than where we are sitting across on this chart here. Now let's sit at 123. Okay, it's a bit further up there for 13, so it's not that far below where current price is actually. It does look right now, 123.42. It's up here. So we'll see how that rolls, but it looks like it could just roll over there. If it pushes on through that level, well then I'll be looking maybe at the daily 60, maybe then at that weekly pivot could be next target. Again, that daily 50 has been tested previously. To the upside, pretty similar to the euro really, looking at break of the highs. If it starts, or the trend there, if it starts pushing on through that, then the current view changes. Preference in this market may be to the upside. One thing to watch out, cable has been a bit more bitty and a bit whipsaw-y, pulling us into moves then out, so the euro may be a better option out of these two. Dollar yen, that is of course the same old caveat. If it does get a proper oversold signal for me or overbought signal, then it changes, but for now it's looking a bit more bitty. The dollar's continued strengthening through the earlier part of the Asian session there, but is reversing at the moment, softening up here as I look again. Weekly pivot above. I say again, looking at above, but it's obviously inverted currency here because it's a US dollar stroke yen, so that weekly pivot looks like a potential where it's sitting. The side of that daily pivot's just above there as well at 108.38, so it may just draw it up a bit further. Again, targets here, if it was to continue pushing in this direction, there's the 60.50 and the weekly pivot sitting above. Okay, that would be at 108.13 sort of zone. That's the dollar yen. Well, the other thing to watch for here if is the reaction on some of these and how they react if they get back to their weekly pivots. If they start pushing off there, well, there will be a buy sign on the pound, the euro, sell sign on dollar yen here. Okay, looking across there in Aussie dollar. So Aussie dollar's run into its daily 21 there on Friday, looking a bit soft where it's sitting at the moment. But as with all these other markets here, just maybe a little bit of a retrace. It's a very early part of the bar. Again, weekly pivot sitting below, so it becomes a target. Maybe if it just breaks that 4-hourly 8, it could be a starting point for that. Looking at it in this short-term time frame, lots of consolidation. There seems to be some buying support directly below there, but if that was to disappear, then it gives it a clear way through down towards the S1 and weekly pivot. Again, as the pound and the euro there, the trend across the top there would give us a clue to the more upside. Finally, the Canadian dollar. Canadian dollar again continued its route down on Friday, so strong old move back, quite a big correction. A lot of these markets on last week. We have the weekly pivot above us here, so that would be a target to the upside. So again, inverted currency as in dollar CAD, so US dollar CAD. So a bit like the same as the yen, effectively looking at whether it pulls back towards these weekly pivots. Now, if we get a good correlated market, we'll see this across all these markets. So it's just a case of which one you choose. My preference still remains with the euro, but it's already on its daily pivot, and it's whether it gets back to its weekly, which is below. Here we've got the potential pushing up towards that weekly pivot. It's just coming to the okay, it's sitting on its daily at the moment, so break that 60-minute 50 may be the starting point for this to push up there on the Canadian dollar. Okay, that's pretty much it. News-wise, as I already said, there's nothing news-wise out today. Got plenty of news, economic or fundamental news coming out as we go through the week. Remember, the clocks have changed back. They changed back one more change come the 4th of April for New Zealand, Australia, but for now it's changed back in the UK, and the US have already changed 3 weeks ago, so there we go. Anyway, have a great day. Bye for now.